There is a number that shows up in almost every investing article, every TikTok finance guru video, every retirement calculator you have ever used. $5 a day, $50 a month, $100 a month. The message is always the same. Start small, stay consistent, let compounding do the work. And the math they show you looks incredible. Invest $50 a month for 40 years at an average 8% return, and you will have over $170,000. Invest $100 a month, and you double it. The charts always go up and to the right. The message is always optimistic. Anyone can do this. But here's what those articles never tell you. $170,000 in 40 years is not enough. It is not enough to retire on. It is barely enough to supplement Social Security. And if inflation continues at anything close to its historical average, that number in today's purchasing power is worth significantly less than it looks like on paper. I am not here to tell you that small amounts do not matter. I am here to tell you that there is a minimum threshold below which compounding is mathematically irrelevant to your actual financial outcome. And if you were investing below that threshold,
You are technically doing the right thing, but practically wasting decades of your life waiting for a result that will never arrive. In this video, I am going to show you exactly where that threshold is, why it exists, what the actual math looks like when you account for inflation and taxes and time, and what you need to do differently if you are serious about building wealth and not just technically participating in the market. Because the difference between investing something and investing enough is the difference between feeling good about your habits and actually changing your financial life.
Let me start with the thing that every beginner investor gets told and almost nobody questions. Compounding is the most powerful force in finance. Einstein allegedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. The idea is simple. Your money earns returns. Those returns earn returns. Over time, the exponential curve takes over and your wealth grows faster and faster without you doing anything. This is true. Compounding is real. The math works exactly as advertised. But there is a condition that almost every article and influencer conveniently ignores. Compounding only becomes powerful after a significant amount of time and a significant amount of capital. Let me show you what I mean. If you invest $100 a month into an index fund averaging 8% annual return, here is what your balance looks like at different points in time. After 5 years, you have approximately $7,300. After 10 years, $18,000. After 20 years, $58,000. After 30 years, $149,000. After 40 years, $349,000. Now here is the question nobody asks. At what point in that timeline did compounding actually start doing the heavy lifting? Because for the first 10 years, the overwhelming majority of your account balance is just the money you put in. You contributed $12,000 and your account is worth $18,000. That $6,000 difference is nice, but it is not life-changing. It is not compounding working miracles. It is just modest market returns on a modest amount of capital. Even at 20 years, you contributed $24,000 and your balance is $58,000. Compounding added $34,000. That is real money, but it is still not the exponential magic you were promised. You are 2 decades in, and your account has not even crossed 6 figures. The compounding curve does not truly take off until year 30 and beyond. That is when the returns on your returns
start to dwarf your contributions. But here is the problem. 30 years is longer than most people's entire working career, from their first real job to retirement. And if you are starting this strategy at age 30, you are looking at age 60 before compounding starts to feel powerful. At age 60, for most people, it is too late to course correct. This is the lie by omission. Compounding works, but it works slowly. And if your contribution rate is low, it works so slowly that by the time it starts to matter, you have already spent the most financially flexible decades of your life waiting.
Now let me show you the second layer that makes small monthly contributions even less effective than they appear: inflation. Every example you see online shows you future value in nominal dollars. $349,000 sounds like a lot of money, but that number assumes the purchasing power of a dollar stays the same for 40 years. It does not. The average inflation rate in the United States over the past 50 years is approximately 3.5% per year. Some years higher, some lower, but 3.5 is a reasonable long-term average. If you adjust those 40-year compounding examples for inflation, the real purchasing power looks completely different. That $349,000 in 40 years, adjusted for 3.5% annual inflation, is worth approximately $87,000 in today's dollars. $87,000 after 40 years of consistent monthly investing. That is not a retirement fund. That is a used car. Even if you bump your contribution to $200 per month, 40 years of compounding at 8% gives you $698,000 nominal dollars. Adjust for inflation, and that is about $174,000 in today's purchasing power. Better, but still nowhere near the financial independence those compounding charts promised you. This is why the minimum threshold matters. If your contribution rate is so low that inflation eats half or more of your nominal gains, you are not building wealth. You are treading water in place while feeling like you are moving forward.
If you are in your 20s or early 30s and your goal is to retire comfortably without relying entirely on Social Security, the minimum effective monthly investment is approximately $500 per month. Not 50, not 100, 500. Here's why. $500 per month invested at 8% for 35 years gives you approximately $1.1 million nominal. Adjusted for 3.5% inflation, that is approximately $350,000 in today's purchasing power. Add Social Security, add any pension or additional income sources, and you are in the range where retirement is actually feasible. More importantly, at $500 per month, the compounding curve starts to do meaningful work in your favor by year 15 to 20. Your balance crosses 6 figures, while you still have time to adjust your strategy if needed. You are not waiting until age 60 to see if it worked. If you are in your 40s, the threshold is higher. You have less time. To reach a similar outcome in 25 years, you need to be investing closer to $800 to $1,000 per month. The compounding window is shorter, so the contribution rate has to compensate. If $500 per month is the threshold, why do most people invest far below it? The obvious answer is income. A lot of people genuinely do not have $500 extra per month after covering rent, food, insurance, debt payments, and basic living costs. That is real. That is not a criticism. That is the economic reality for a huge portion of working Americans. But there is a second reason that applies even to people who could afford to invest more but do not. Psychology. Specifically, the psychology of incremental commitment. When you start investing, $50 or $100 per month feels like a big step. It feels responsible. It feels like you are doing the right thing. And because the action feels significant, your brain rewards you with a sense of accomplishment. You check the box. You are an investor now. The emotional need to take action has been satisfied. The problem is that the emotional reward you get from starting is the same whether you invest $50 or $500. Your brain does not distinguish between those two actions in terms of how good it feels to have started. So most people start at whatever amount feels comfortable, get the psychological reward, and then never revisit the question of whether that amount is actually sufficient. This is called the completion bias. Once you have taken an action that satisfies the emotional or social expectation, the motivation to optimize that action drops dramatically. You're investing. The guilt is gone. The social pressure is satisfied. Why would you increase it? The answer is because the goal is not to invest. The goal is to build wealth, and those are not the same thing. So what do you do if you are currently investing below the threshold and you want to fix it? There are 3 realistic strategies, and I am going to give you all 3 without sugarcoating any of them. Strategy 1. Increase your contribution rate by decreasing your expenses. This is the classic personal finance advice, and it works if you actually do it. Look at your spending. Find the categories where money is leaving that is not producing value. Subscriptions you do not use, food waste, impulse purchases, car payments on a vehicle you do not need. Reduce or eliminate those and redirect that money to your investment account. This is not about living like a monk. This is about being ruthlessly honest about the difference between spending that improves your life and spending that just fills time. Most people have at least $200 to $300 per month in the second category. Find it. Redirect it. Strategy 2. Increase your contribution rate by increasing your income. This is harder, but it has a higher ceiling. A side hustle, freelance work, a second job temporarily, a career change or promotion, asking for a raise, changing industries. Any of these can produce an extra few hundred to few thousand per month, depending on how aggressively you pursue them. The psychological resistance to this strategy is real. Most people do not want to work more. I understand that. But the question is not what you want to do. The question is what result you want to produce. If you want the result of financial independence and you are not currently on a path that produces it, something has to change. Income is one of the highest leverage changes you can make. Strategy 3. Combine both. Cut $200 in expenses, add $300 in side income. You just went from $100 per month to $600 per month. That is the difference between treading water and actually building something. I know this is not the fun answer. I know it is not the passive income, laptop lifestyle version of investing, but it is the truth. Wealth is built with capital. If you do not have enough capital, you either increase the rate at which you acquire it, or you accept that your results will be limited.
Let me zoom out one more time before we close this. The reason most personal finance content pushes the start small, stay consistent message is because it is true at the margins. Starting is better than not starting. Consistency is better than inconsistency. But those messages are designed to get people to take the first step. They are not designed to get people to the finish line. If you are watching this video, you have already taken the first step. You are already investing, or you are already thinking about it. The question now is not whether to start. The question is whether what you are doing is actually enough. In the next video, we are going to talk about the single biggest mistake I see people make once they cross the threshold and start investing real money. It has nothing to do with picking stocks or timing the market. It is about behavior, and it costs people more money than any bad investment ever could. If this video changed how you think about how much you are investing versus how much you should be, share it. One person. That is all I ask. Subscribe if you want the next one, and I'll see you there. And for most people, if they are honest, the answer is no. That is not failure, that is just information. Information you can use to adjust, to scale, to change the trajectory before another 10 years pass and you realize you are still in the same place. Compounding works, but only if you feed it enough to matter.